Schletz, and welcome to the Schletz podcast. Today we're diving into one of the most famous acts of defiance in history, the Boston Tea Party. On the evening of December 16th, 1773, a group of American colonists took a stand against British oppression by tossing over 300 chests of tea into the Boston harbor. It wasn't just about tea, it was a bold message to the British Crown that they would no longer tolerate taxation without representation. As we sit here today, December 3rd, 2024, nearly 251 years later, it's fascinating to reflect on how the principles behind the Boston Tea Party, challenging unfair systems, demanding representation, and fighting for justice, are still relevant in our world. Stick with me as we unravel this historic night and its lasting impact. Let's jump right in. The year was 1773, and Boston was a city simmering with tension. The cobblestone streets echoed with the heavy steps of angry colonists. The Tea Act, recently imposed by the British Crown, had become a bitter symbol of tyranny. It wasn't just about tea, it was about the principle. The act allowed the British East India Company to sell its tea directly to the colonies, bypassing the colonial merchants and enforcing a tax that the colonists had no voice in improving. Taxation without representation. The rally cry was shouted in the taverns, marketplaces, and churches. Among the voices was Samuel Adams, the fiery leader of the Sons of Liberty. He and the others saw the act as an affront to their liberty, a chain threatening to bind them further to the indifferent monarchy. One chilly December evening, the news spread like wildfire through the city. 3 ships, the Dartmouth, the Eleanor, and the Beaver, were anchored in the harbor, laden with tea. The deadline for unloading the tea loomed, and the governor refused to send the ships back to England. The candlelit meeting house, Adams addressed a packed room. "Are we to bow to this tyranny, or will we rise and take a stand?" he bellowed. The room erupted into cheers of defiance. Whispers of a bold plan spread among the Sons of Liberty, a plan that would make a statement across the Atlantic. That night, as the moon cast its pale light over the Boston harbor, dozens of men disguised as Mohawk warriors gathered. Their breath formed misty clouds in the freezing air. Among them was a young dock worker, Caleb, a scrawny little boy who had joined the cause after witnessing his father's shop struggle under British taxes. His heart pounded as he clutched the tomahawk. "Steady, Caleb," an older man murmured. "Tonight we make history." The group marched silently to the ships, their footsteps muffled by the snow-dusted ground. The creak of the ship's planks was deafening in the stillness as they climbed aboard. With swift, deliberate movements, they began breaking open the chests of tea and hurling the contents into the icy water below. The smell of lace filled the air, mingling with the salty tang of the sea. As Caleb hacked at a chest, he heard a voice from the dock. "What are you doing?" A British soldier had spotted them. His heart dropped. Caleb froze, but another man shouted back, "We're sending your tea where it belongs, with the fish." Laughter rippled through the group as the soldier hesitated, unsure whether to act. By the time reinforcements arrived, it was too late. Over 300 chests of tea, worth thousands of pounds, floated on the water's surface before sinking into the harbor's depths. As dawn broke, the harbor was still, save for a faint layer of tea staining the waves. The city buzzed with gossip and excitement. "Did you hear?" one merchant said to the other. "They dumped the king's tea into the sea." Caleb returned home, exhausted, but exhilarated. "Father, we showed them," he said, his voice hoarse but triumphant. His father smiled, pride and worry etched into his face. "You've struck a blow, son, but the fight is far from over." The Boston Tea Party sent shockwaves across the colonies and Britain. Parliament retaliated with coercive acts, which closed Boston Harbor and tightened British control. While the immediate consequences were harsh, The event unified their colonies in their resistance. It became a symbol of defiance, planting the seeds for the Revolutionary War. For Caleb and others, that night was more than just a protest, it was a declaration. They had challenged a law they deemed unjust, and though the path ahead was fraught with struggle, their actions proved that even ordinary people could spark extraordinary change. In my opinion, the Boston Tea Party was one of the most powerful examples of how ordinary people can challenge injustice and ignite meaningful change. By standing up to unjust taxation, the colonists not only pushed back against British oppression, but also set the stage for a revolution that would redefine the concept of freedom and representation. The event's impact still resonates today, reminding us of the power of grassroots action and the importance of standing together against unfair systems. To me, it's a timeless lesson that bold, unified action can spark a ripple effect, shaping a more just and equitable world for generations to come. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Schletz podcast. I hope you enjoyed exploring the story of the Boston Tea Party and its lasting impact on history. If you found this episode insightful, be sure to subscribe and share with your friends. Next week, we're diving into the complexities of the Vietnam War. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Until then, take care, stay curious, and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you next time.